right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. Pumped to be here today. You are listening to episode number 3.141599265 of Honest to God. One of our guests suggested that one today. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's the episode number we're on, isn't it?
Yeah, 3.14. 19.15. Sorry,
yeah, no, it's going to be
last week.
A great day, and we're very excited. And I've got a great reason why that is the episode number that we're on, because some of us are giving up pie for Lent. That's a good segue.
That's a good segue.
Pie Day happens during Lent.
During Lent.
That's true.
Yeah. No, very good, very good. And as a proud graduate, first in my class of Harvard for segues, I love a good segue. So we've got a bunch of returning guests today. We're very excited. We got Madeline. We got HTG. The letter combo gets me every time, but it's AG. We got Nene, and then we've got JJ. So it's a good day here. As always, we're rocking producer Ben. We may or may not have shown up Benny in studio as well. You'll never know. But looking forward to this episode, talking about Lent, digging into some of that. But before we start, we're going to begin, as we do all things, with prayer. And let's see, who's got a good I'm good at extemporaneous prayer face? Oh, yeah. All day long. It's you, AG. AG, do you mind starting us off with prayer?
Sure. All right. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. Lord, I just ask that you be with us today, Lord, as we get ready to talk about Lent, talk about this beautiful season in the church that we're able to grow closer to you. Holy Spirit, I hope you fill this conversation with what we all need to learn and what we're able to teach other people. In your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. In your face, non-denominational. We can extemporaneously pray too. You'll notice we didn't even end it with a Hail Mary. We could have. Easy. But we didn't. No, super excited about this episode. And this should be our first episode during Lent. Is that when this is airing? Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So you've all been here before, so we're going to go through really quickly. Just one fun fact apiece, starting with JJ.
Yeah. JJ, and my fun fact is for all testing to date suggests that I'm impervious to having rocks dropped on my head.
Could you flesh that out a little bit for me? Why are you taking part in those particular tests?
Well, I guess my younger brother Nicholas fancies himself a scientist of some sorts. So we had this brick wall at our old house, and it was like, I don't know, like 7 to 8 feet high or something. And we just I was like, he was up there, and I was down at the bottom, and I guess he saw a rock, and he couldn't pass up the opportunity. He wasn't even mad at me, I don't think. Right. He just grabbed the rock and dropped it on my head. It was a big rock, too. It was like... It's like as big as a pie or something.
Speaking of pie.
I didn't even get knocked out. Like, it hurt. And I was mad at him. But
can we do an honest to God video where we... Throughout the whole episode, we start with very small pebbles, but then we gradually increase the size of the rocks, so we drop on your head.
Yeah, it's like a Galileo thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the two ones.
Yeah,
like gravity is the same, and JJ doesn't pass out.
Wait, I'm embarrassed. Who was that? Sir Isaac Newton.
It's Sir Isaac
right?
Newton,
okay.
yes, with the apple.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
with the apple.
Awesome. We can do various fruits, work our way up to rocks. I like that.
I only ask that they're nice rocks. I'm not feeling sedimentary, but igneous. Obsidian or something.
Maybe some river rocks that have been smoothed out.
Oh yeah, the smooth ones.
I like that.
Nice. That would be a great way to propose to me if anyone's planning on it. Just what is this? A diamond? And
It's a
rock. Oh, that's a great idea.
It's actually very sweet. I might save that for someone else.
Yeah, totally. All right, Nene, what you got? What's your one?
I hate the color pink.
You hate it?
I hate it. And I think it's because when I was younger, I watched High School Musical. And
I know where this is going.
And I did not like Sharpay Evans, and she wore a lot of pink, so it's kind of just correlated. Just hate the color pink.
Okay.
Now, light pink, a blush pink, great. Hot pink, can't do it.
I'm actually a big fan of the pastels. Kind of off-brand, but I like the
pastel's
pastels.
fine, a hot neon pink, no, can't do it.
Like a Barbie pink, like a millennial pink.
No, can't do it.
All right, no, that's fair. That's all right. All right, AG, what you got?
I don't know. I don't know.
Just one. How about you give us a traumatic memory from your childhood?
Traumatic. There's so many. I will go with my favorite. My favorite color is blue.
All right, I'm gonna allow it only because I feel bad about suggesting a traumatic memory from your childhood. So
we would be here for a few hours.
We'll allow it today. Madeline.
Okay, I have a fun fact. I have
I'm
already.
so glad that you're back. Sorry, just for like 2 seconds of you talking. I'm so pumped to have you back on the
I'm
show.
so happy to be back. Okay, I have already said this on a previous episode, but my favorite color is pink. And when you said that, like the camera was on, I went. But that's not my fun fact because I've already said that one before. My fun fact, I've thought long and hard, like on the drive here. I have an hour drive here, and I was like, "What is my fun fact? I can solve a Rubik's cube."
Oh, you know the magic combo to do it. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I like it.
I learned it in 7th grade, and I was the stuff at break for like 2 weeks.
I
I
am
had crowds around me.
I am positive just from knowing producer Ben that producer Ben can also solve a Rubik's
I cannot.
Cube. Yes,
cannot
you
do
can. That is a
Nope.
lie.
Oh my gosh,
I can't solve
no
a
way.
Rubik's
I could do
Cube.
something
No
that Ben
way.
can't.
That's, I know, it's amazing.
Now my younger brother Sam,
Right.
he can solve a Rubik's cube in like a minute and a half flat. Like
Oh my
he's
goodness.
really good at it.
And he got like the big one, and then they make smaller ones that are like 3x3.
Yeah.
Homeboy can just go for it.
Is it the same system for the smaller ones as the big ones?
The 3x3s, the 5x5s, the 7x7s, all the odd numbers are pretty much the same algorithms, but like
Yeah.
the 2x2, 4x4, 6x6, up and up and up. Those are like more of like the same.
You just solve the center, right? And then you move out.
The
right?
center never moves, right?
Yeah.
But like you
correct,
solve the
correct.
center
Like,
3x3 and
the
then
3x3,
and then you
the
solve.
center never moves, but you gotta like figure out how to move all the other ones around it and
Okay.
stuff.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
I like it. That is not the topic of today's episode, but I'm sure we talk a lot about Rubik's Cubes today. What we are going to talk about today is Lent, though. We have Lent coming up. If you're listening to this, it is currently Lent. So get excited for that. And we're going to, do you say that? Do you say get excited for Lent?
Get
I am
excited.
I'm excited
Woo,
for it.
Woo.
Because the end of Lent is literally the resurrection of
That's
Jesus.
true.
Get excited for that.
And
Right.
even Lent itself, like when you're a kid, you love Christmas, but like as I'm getting older, I'm like, forget presents. I want to cry. I want to be in touch with my emotions. I want pain.
I want to
And
cry.
I like that hot take. Okay. Yeah.
It's like, wait, never mind.
I promised my 7th graders that if they reminded me, I would show up one day in sackcloth and ashes for Lent. Like
Cool.
I have a lot of burlap sacks for all the farming stuff that we've done, and
Cool.
ashes are pretty readily available. And just one day, I want to show up barefoot, sackcloth, ashes. I think that'd be cool.
Do it.
Kind of dig it.
Here's the thing, though. If you don't have like a fireplace, how do you get ashes? I don't think you can buy them.
Oh, you just burn stuff in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Pretty
like
much anything is ashes if you put your mind to it. Yeah.
It's true. I feel like we're ashes, and like to ash, you
Dust?
shall return.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
So let's get into Lent a little bit and talk about, I want to get into Lent almost like we got into the Christmas season or Advent or whatever. Just talking about first family traditions, what it's meant to you. I mean, if you're anything like me, Lent was something that I guess vaguely practiced as a kid that I didn't really realize why we were doing it. I thought it was dumb. I cheated on my whatever if people who were Catholic weren't around. It mainly came down to, and then as I got older, when I was in high school and was starting to have this conversion to the Catholic faith, I liked it as an opportunity to demonstrate how much holier I was than everyone else by having ashes on my forehead. Like, yeah,
sackcloth.
super disordered, right? Like understanding of Lent as a season of preparedness. And now that I'm older, I take it a lot more seriously, and I'm thinking about how to actually do what Lent is meant to do. So I want to open it up and just, this is kind of a cheesy question, but JJ, what does Lent mean to you?
Oh my gosh.
No,
As I was
don't
saying,
define Lent. What's it mean to you? Don't say like it's a preparation for Easter. What?
I mean, I guess it means for me. That's a tough one. Like I was
why I
telling you
asked
how
you,
hard
JJ.
it is to look into myself. I can look out so easily. I mean, I just really love Lent. I think it's because I kind of have that Spartan mentality.
Right.
And I guess it means for me something where I have an excuse to try and be holier without being obnoxious about it. Like I have, it's a gift. It's a gift of the, like one of the easiest times of the year to pick a way to become holy. Like, yeah, that's what it is.
My problem with Lent,
give
though,
hope.
is that it always becomes such a pride thing for me, and I want to like out Spartan everyone else. Like I'm totally that guy Jesus talks about. I want to stand on the street corner covered in ashes, wailing about how hungry I am. Right? It's totally. And I struggle with that. I have to remind myself of that all of the deprivation and all of these things that I'm doing are for nothing if I'm getting a real world benefit in the here and now.
Yeah, I mean, no, that was 100% me. For like when I was younger, I think I treated it as like the gym and like my siblings were like the gym bros I was competing with.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, oh, you're giving up chocolate? Yeah, no, that makes sense because it has sugar in it, and I'm giving up sugar. But
I haven't eaten in 2 weeks, so
yeah, that makes sense. But you ever tried CrossFit? Like, but I mean, yeah, the verse that kind of like made a lot to me because my priest like was kind of focusing on it one time was I can never quote it exactly, but it's like the one that's like when you're fasting, don't like let your hair become unkempt. It's like trim your hair, trim your beard, oil your hair. It's like don't let people know or something like that. And a big part of making Lent better for me is actually cutting back on the fasting sometimes. Mm-hmm. If I'm like at a party and like I'm giving up sweets or something, and a friend's like, "Oh, here's some pie," I'll be like, "Oh no, thanks, I'm good" once. But if they're like, No, try some, I won't be like, "Sorry, I'm fasting, I can't." I'm
super holy. So.
Yeah, I'll just eat it then and then try and make it up later, and that kind of
cool.
works better.
That. Yeah. No, I like that. What about you guys? Want to open it up a little bit on that? And I do want to get back to your Lent experience because as a Byzantine Catholic, right, you've got some cool stuff. Y'all do some cool things. Madeline, what you got? I can tell.
Okay, so kind of like how y'all were saying when you were younger, like for me, it was always like I always gave up candy and chocolate. I think like as a kid, my parents were like, just do that because. But I was actually listening to a podcast on the way down here. I think it was actually Father Mike, but he was saying how when he was younger, he would be like, okay, I'm gonna give up chocolate, but at the end, actually, you know what? It might have been Brian from the Catholic Truth, but anyways.
Big shout out. He's a friend of the show.
Yeah, I actually watched that episode and started listening to him. Anyways.
I think I know the one you're talking about, but keep going.
But he was like, I would always give up the sweet, the chocolate, the movies, the something, but then I when Lent ended, I would binge it. And because to make up for the time I lost. And that's kind of like how I saw Lent growing up. It wasn't something that like, I don't know, like my parents taught well, but like I just didn't grasp onto it. Up until pretty much last year, I participated in Fiat 90. And let me tell you, that changes you. And
that's girly Exodus 90, right?
Yeah, it is. 90, it is. It's pretty much all the same thing, except I don't have to take cold showers. I was very grateful for that. But after doing that, I realized that like I'm not giving up or fasting for like I was doing it more of a prideful thing, wearing ashes to like show off that I am Catholic. And I was like, but I was always scared because I was like, what if someone asked me? I was like, I don't know how to give them a definite answer. Like I don't have a full answer to give them. To like why I wear ashes, why I participate in Lent. And so last year I kind of like dove into that and like was really like, okay, I'm going to do this to like I'm not going to do it for myself. I'm going to do it for God. I'm going to do it for the God that like wants me to do this for him because why else would he have like sacrificed himself for me? And especially this year, I've been thinking a lot more about how can I do things to better my prayer life and to better my faith life and not something as in like, not particularly giving up something but in like, hold on, I'm sorry. It's like giving it up, but then replacing it with like, I'm not going to watch TV as much during that time. Instead, I'm going to have a holy half hour or I'm going to reach out to more people. I'm going to participate in more church activities. Because that's something for me that I realized that's helped me because now whenever I think about going to watch a movie, that's pretty much all I do.
The Bachelorette.
Yeah, exactly. The Bachelorette. I can be like, okay, well, actually, what can I be doing instead of this? And how can I offer this time up to God? And how can I give it back to him?
The taking something on seems like that's gotten more popular in recent years. And like I think that's huge, right? And even with the Exodus 90, we view Exodus 90 as you're going to not do all of these things. And like, yeah, that's great. But what is as or probably more important, right, is you're taking on these things in addition to, right? You're doing that holy hour. The Exodus 90 is just like a dietary thing. Like you're just going on a diet, you're losing weight and you're being uncomfortable if you're not taking with it, right, the holy hour and all of these other things. What about either of you guys?
I can talk. So I'm kind of similar to what you said. Like my mom, like probably when I was about like 15, 16 was like, all right, we're taking things on. Like that's what we're doing. So she really started pushing that. And that was like a big thing we started doing is like, well, I'm going to take I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to take on this. And I think like a big thing about Lent that people forget is like, it's supposed to be sustainable change. So when you're cutting things out, like watching too much TV, like mine will probably be TikTok, watching too much TikTok, I want to replace it with something good, but also I want to make sure that by the end of Lent, I'm like, oh, well, I can live without that. I can cut down on that, and I can like, you know, creating better change for yourself, but also like leaving yourself like Jesus in the desert, you want to leave better than you were when you first started being into the desert. So I think that's like the big thing. And also like taking on these important things. Like I know like I like did one where I like one Lent, I was like reaching out to people better. And so like I had these really meaningful conversations and like really like showing love and compassion. Because I think when we realize how busy we are, and then when you start kind of taking away things, you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm really not that busy, you know?
Right.
So,
well, and I love how definitive something like reaching out to people is. Like I know somebody who they said, every week I'm going to handwrite a letter to someone and I'm going to, I forget the words they use, but basically it was, I'm either going to like make amends, ask for forgiveness, or I'm going to write something that's affirming to somebody in my life that I need to do that.
Yeah.
And so they're writing all these letters to these people from their childhood and from growing up and all, and that was huge. And it was so tangible as opposed to, I'm going to do a holy hour, and holy hour is great. But like when I've done Exodus, it's been, I'm going to do a holy hour. And what does that really mean? Okay. I'm going to go to adoration, like once, twice a week, but then I'm going to count that time when I'm listening to Father Mike's Bible in a year. That's part of holy. That's holy. And then my prayer, well, I probably prayed for 10 minutes this morning, and then on the car. And so we make all these excuses. Not everybody, but that's something that I struggle with. And when it's something tangible, like no, once a week or once a day or once, whatever, I'm going to do this thing.
And I think too, I think a lot of times, especially like I fall in this trap, is like, I'm going to do these 12 things for Lent. I'm going to go to holy hour. I'm going to read the Bible. I'm going to do this and this. And then you first weekend, you're like, there's no physical way I can do this. I have put too much. So like, even during Advent this year, I was like, you know what? I want to do these things. I want to be consistent in my prayer and my Bible time. Like, that's my goal, is just to be consistent, because I feel like a lot of times, like me personally, like I'll do fine for a little bit, and then I go out of town, I go do something, and then I'm like messed up for a month. I can't get back on track. So, you know, like for me, like I just want to be more consistent. So I think you can have smaller goals and it not be like this huge thing. Like I'm going to holy hour every single day for all of Lent.
Yeah, no, that's huge. What I've taken to saying recently, because I like it, is when we're on this earth, our faith is not a destination, it's a direction. So like I've tried to be better about, like, a big thing for me is I want to do a daily rosary, but every once in a while there's just like a week where I just completely mess up, and it's so hard to hop back on the train. And what I've started doing, which helps way more, is if that does happen, I don't say I have to do a full rosary the next day. I start out with like, I'm going to do a decade tomorrow, and I have to do a decade. And then after a couple days of that, I'll do 2 decades. And that has led to me praying more of the rosary than trying to tell myself I have to go back into the full rosary.
Well, and it goes back to like that station in life thing, right? Like if you're going to be as a father and a husband, there's only so much that I can do practically that and I have to know myself to avoid not being a jerk to my wife and my children. And all of these, your Lenten sacrifices or the things that you're taking on with Lent should not impede your vocation in life, right? Yeah. Because it's not just a badge of honor that you're supposed to wear around. What are you going to say, Nia?
I think Lent for me is like, so typically I'm always so busy with like Life Teen and stuff like that. So this is the first year to where I don't have Life Teen on Sundays. And so I think it's a little bit more special because I don't hang out with my family often. And so on Sundays, I get to hang out with them every single Sunday and go to mass with them. So now like, I think for like before I was like sacrificing my time for others. But now I think this year it's like spending time with my family and like hanging out with them and doing our Sunday traditions that we never used to do. Like we used to do brunch every single Sunday and just like hang out, talk about our week, because we don't do family dinners. Like I'm always working, and I get home, I'm doing homework. My mom gets home from work late. My dad's usually watching TV. My brother's playing video games. So we don't have to do family dinners. And so I think like Sundays now is like our time to like unpack and unwind, just kind of like check in with each other. Like, how are you doing? How was your week?
Right. And it's a matter of putting first things first too, right? Going back to your vocation in life and what that looks like. And I think it was you, AG, that was talking about how it being something sustainable, right? When you do, I love the idea, and I hadn't thought about that till you said it, but the idea of, no, we can all grow in our faith in some ways. What can I do during Lent that I might not continue to do in the same capacity once Easter comes, but that's good for me and I should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
And I can continue doing this moving forward.
No, I think that's a big thing. Like, even like, shout out to Hallow for their amazing stuff, because that's really like helped me with like my prayer life. Because even if it's like, oh, I'm so busy I can't do it at home, like I have to, you can pray it in your car. You can, there's so many great ways that like things that they're able to do that. So that's really helped me with my prayer life and with my Bible time.
Yeah, the car thing, I drive for 45 minutes a day, like one way to school, to work, right? And that is my selfish time if I want it to be, right? That is the time when nobody is dependent on me and I can totally just listen to podcasts about whatever. Well, obviously, I should be listening to Honest to God on repeat. No, but I can do it. I can make a decision. And a lot of my Lenten sacrifices / the things I take on actually has to do with that little bit of time, because it is a time that is actually all mine. I don't have the option of spending it with my family or with my children or anything. I'm alone by myself in the car, and I have control over that time, not at the expense of my vocations. Yeah. So
kind of crazy how cars like have the opportunity to become little chapels, because so many people, it's like, I can do a rosary because I'm driving, or like I can like listen to like the Bible in a Year podcast, maybe,
or the Catechism in a Year.
Oh, that's a good
Honest
one.
to God,
but mostly honest to God.
Honestly, honest to God. It's episode 3.1 for 159.
It's a great show.
Got to tune into that one.
Yeah. No, I remember last year was my like first Lent that I ever tried to take something on, and it was like halfway through that I decided to do it. Cool. Like for the first half.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
awesome. Adding stuff in partway through. I
exactly.
love that.
For the first half of Lent, I was just like, okay, like giving up sweets, like the basic things that everybody does. And I'm like, okay. And I wasn't really feeling great about any of it. I was like halfway through, I was like, you know what? I want to pray a daily rosary. Like I heard some story about like a priest that started praying a daily rosary at like beginning of his priesthood. Nice. And like he was basically blind to like all this evil that was hitting him just because he was praying a daily rosary, because he was so devoted to that. And so I started doing that, and I've kept up with it, and it's almost a year now since I started doing
you're
that.
Still doing it?
Yeah.
Great.
And of course there have been like days where I've like dropped off and just completely forgot to say a rosary, but it's mostly like mornings in the car where I have a half-hour drive to work, and I'm like, you know what? I could listen to a podcast right now, listen to half a podcast, but you know what? I'm going to pray a rosary. I'm going to sit there just with myself. And even more recently, I've tried to like make that a more definitive part, because I've realized that like praying the rosary has become like a box to check.
Yep.
It's like something that I insert into my day instead of making time for it in my day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've tried to like wake up early. And so I wake up, and I've been trying to do it at 5 a.m. It hasn't worked most days, but like get up earlier so I have a couple hours before I have to do anything. And so I can sit there, read a little bit of a book, pray a rosary, and just be, and like take that time out of my day already to put it aside. Yeah.
Well, and I would argue that if you are in a position right now where you don't have much of a prayer life at all, don't start anywhere near, I'm going to pray a rosary every day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's not going to happen.
Not
Start
sustainable.
with, I'm going to actually talk to God for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 90 seconds, whatever it is. If you got nothing, then do it. Start there.
Okay, that reminds me. One thing for me, I always have trouble with like getting into the chapel or just like sitting down and like praying a rosary, stuff like that. And one thing my dad always like taught me growing up in my prayer life, like just talk to God like he's sitting right next to you. Have a conversation with him.
Right.
So one thing that's helped me a lot when I always like fall away from my prayer life and then I get back into it. Whenever I pass by a church, a chapel that I know has a tabernacle, I say, "Hi, Jesus."
Yeah.
Give him a little hello. Sometimes when I'm in the car, if no one else is in the car with me, I pretend he's in my passenger seat and I talk to him.
That's awesome.
Or like whenever I'm walking on the sidewalk, I make room for him.
Yeah.
So he walks with me.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that's one thing that really helped me just kind of like always remember that God is there. Like just talk to him. Like, so.
I complain to God in the shower in the morning. That's part of my routine. It really is. Like, not like to God about things God has done, but I'm just like, all right, God, I got this going on today, and I'm so like, I'm just frustrated and whatever. And I always, I add a little bit of whatever in there, and I always do the, like in my sort of more formal prayer, the thank yous and the examination of consciences and I'm sorries and stuff. But that's really a time when it's just like, God, can I just like unload for a minute? Yeah.
Seeing the personhood in prayer has been been like a huge thing for me.
Say that one more time.
Seeing the personhood in
Yeah.
prayer. Like, we pray to God all the time. Sometimes we forget to pray to the Father.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, for me, so I've been trying to be intentional about thinking about what prayer I'm doing and who I'm praying to. Because I realized when I was doing my rosary, I was just praying upwards.
Right.
That I was just like kind of aiming myself.
Saying words in that general
Yeah,
direction.
exactly. And I was like, hold up. Mary deserves more than this, and God's not going to be happy with me if I'm not respecting Mary enough. This is Mary's prayer, and God's part of it, obviously. But I'm like, when I'm praying the rosary, I'm talking to Mary.
Right.
If I'm in adoration, I'm talking to Jesus. Jesus
Right.
is my brother. Jesus is my friend. Mary's my mother. The Father's my father.
Yeah.
It's complicated with the
Yeah.
Spirit. I will be
No.
honest.
Yeah, it is.
I never know exactly what to talk to the Spirit about.
Right.
Usually like fire, something about fire.
I always think of the Spirit as like kind of like just there, like, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
situational, like before you like enter anywhere or like, before you have a hard conversation, like Holy Spirit, just be with me, just tell me what I need to say,
Right.
you know, whatever I need to be like. And even like I've been praying the this prayer that like was, I think, a priest like did like for like Mother Teresa, and it was basically like the radiance prayer. And so it's basically like,
Mm.
Lord, whatever you want to do with me, that's fine. Like I want you to do that. Like I'm
Right.
just here for you. Like I'm not here for anything else. So-
Yeah, I love it, like the surrender and all
Yeah.
of that. I'm all about it. I don't even know if this is like you guys weren't prepped with any of these. I don't even know if this is a thing. I want it to be though. Did your family growing up or your family now have any family traditions that you did together during Lent? Community being a recurring theme that we have on this show. And I think a lot of these holidays, Lent's not really a holiday, but a time of preparation, but they're best together, right? As opposed to separate. So does anybody have any examples?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I got a couple. I mean, honestly, tradition wise, I'm thinking that Lent's my family's not as good at.
Mhm.
But we do some things. Like our church does something called Liturgy of the Pre-Sanctified Gifts, and we try and go to those.
Yeah.
It's Wednesdays and Fridays, I believe, or maybe just Wednesdays. And the idea is because it's a time of sorrow, the liturgy doesn't actually have the consecration during it.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's
Sure.
they take like host has been consecrated already, and so you're able to receive it. So that's
Right.
why it's called pre-sanctified gifts.
Right.
But it's kind of like kind of referencing that like this is a time of sorrow, mourning, of like deep thinking. That's
And
always fun.
and if you're thinking, what is JJ talking about? You're Byzantine Rite.
Oh yeah.
Byzantine Rite Catholic.
Should've led
Well,
with that.
even
I'm the
that's
cool
kind of what they
version.
do for like Good Friday. Like it's already like
Yeah.
pre-consecrated.
Yeah.
So we do something similar too.
I love the Holy Week, all the covered statues.
Holy
and
Week is my
everything.
favorite week
Yeah,
ever.
Same.
Like in the church, favorite week.
that's
Same.
awesome. Yeah. What else? Other family traditions? I'm really curious because I'm always looking for stuff to do with my own kids.
Yeah, I mean, so my dad. Okay, so my dad gives up alcohol. He has like a dry Lent, and my mom gives up shopping. Bless her heart, because she loves to shop. I give up usually. I cut my coffee intake in half because I usually drink 4 a day. So I only drink 2, and then my brother gives up video games at night.
At night, between 7:30 and 7:38.
But typically what we do is my dad's love language is to give gifts. And so my dad would actually take us shopping, my mom and I shopping every single year as like,
I thought your mom gave up shopping.
she's not buying, my dad's buying it. It's a loophole.
We're gonna dedicate a whole show just to Lenten loopholes.
But my dad likes, like, we always dress like really nice. And so he'll buy us a brand new dress for like Easter every single
Right.
year. And so like we'll dress up really nice and we'll go to mass and we'll come home and we'll just feast. Like my dad will like cook prime rib and then
For Easter, you're saying.
for Easter,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we'll do that and we'll have like, I'll give him like a bottle of wine, like a really expensive bottle of wine, bless my bank account for him to celebrate. And then I'll give my mom a gift, like a little gift card, go shopping.
Right.
And so it's like our traditions, like I'll give him gifts, my dad will cook, my mom will not yell at my dad because they usually argue when they cook in the kitchen together. So she's a little bit nicer in the kitchen.
Right.
And then my brother is downstairs with us the entire time helping. That's like
that's
what we do
nice.
every single year.
That's
And
cool.
it's just so nice because like my brother's nicer to me. I don't know
Mhm.
why. He's usually really mean to me.
Grace. Sanctifying grace.
Yes, there you
come on.
go.
All those not playing video games. He's learning sanctified grace. Yeah.
You know what? I'll give him that. But yeah, it's like a really fun tradition I look forward to every single year. And it's supposed to be because I get a new dress every year.
Yeah.
Tell him this year he should only play video games that involve where he can play as the Crusaders. That'd be fun.
He plays Dungeons and Dragons.
As a paladin.
Yes, I don't
Okay,
know. He
great.
plays too many video games. I can't keep up with
We're going
it.
to do a Dungeons and Dragons.
There should
episode.
be a
That'd be
D&D episode.
So
Yeah.
much fun.
So
It'd be
incredible.
like a 4 or 5 hour episode, but we could.
We
do
gotta
it.
get Justin back in here for that.
Yes.
He's
we do.
he's a
No,
big
the
fan.
the
And-
end of Lent is really nice. We do have traditions for that.
Yeah.
But you do in the Byzantine liturgy, right? Don't they have like it's not just a meat fast, but also a cheese fast and all these? Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Cheese fast.
It's
Tomorrow's and granted, this is like a traditional thing. It's not required anymore.
But it's super cool.
And I'm a growing boy, so I don't always do it. But tomorrow's actually a meat fair Sunday, and then
so
and-
talk about what that means.
so we like pre-game Lent almost,
Yeah.
I guess, in the Byzantine tradition. So meat fair Sunday, there's meat fair Sunday, and then cheese fair Sunday is like right before Lent officially starts. And meat fair Sunday is the Sunday that you like get like a whole bunch of like meats, brats, sausages, all that fun stuff. And it's all like just meat centric dishes.
Right.
And you just go all out. And then traditionally from then till the end of Lent, you don't eat meat.
Right.
And then cheese fair Sunday is the same thing, but with like cheese. and
Lots of
dairy.
cheese, and then you don't eat any cheese until the end of Lent.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So,
like-
question:
so
so do you give up all dairy?
It's kind of iffy. And once again, like
Yeah.
this is not for soft Americans. This was like back in Ukraine, so we just we keep the Sunday where we eat a whole bunch of stuff, but we
And
don't.
then you don't.
Don't give up the cheese.
Right. Okay.
But Monday, first day of Lent is like as a nod to that. Monday is no meat, no dairy, and we count eggs as part of that too.
Yeah, because I know like in veganism they count eggs as part of that too. So
Yeah, so, and gosh, it's like on Monday, I'll be like looking at the bread. I'm like, is this like the bread that's made with like milk or
Yeah.
something? Or is it like some weird
Yeah.
processed stuff that
Yeah.
I can get away with? It was actually really tough because at RCA, Regina Caeli
Mhm.
Academy, they were like, okay, we go to school on Monday and Thursday, so we can't do Mardi Gras, but we'll make our own Fat Monday instead of Fat Tuesday. And I was like,
Right.
this still does nothing for me.
Right.
I
we
can't be a part of this.
we don't start on Wednesday, we start on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super cool. I really like the tradition. I was reading, I think it was last year, but all of the exceptions that have been made for meat and what does and does not qualify as meat. Super
specifically
interesting.
like Americans. Like I know like when it was St. Patrick's Day one year on a Friday, and like the U.S. bishops were like, "Yeah, you guys are good. You guys are fine. You can have meat.
Oh,
You're
and I
totally
see,
cool."
but I totally agree with that one. I am Catholic right now because of St. Patrick and a very long line, and I agree. I count that as a borderline solemnity almost. But I was reading about all of these requirements that were sort of, I guess, exceptions were made with meat, and then the story behind them, because it's all interesting. You can pull up like, well, you can eat alligator, and you can eat beaver meat, and you can eat muskrat, and I'm like, that's weird. Why? And I dug into it. It's super cool because they had the French trappers in Canada when they were settling the country, who petitioned their bishop, who was based over in Europe, and they said, can we please have an exception regarding beaver? They have scales on their tails, they live in the water, and it's literally like 90% of what we eat and we'll starve to death and die. And we don't have beaver meat. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Beaver's fine. You can eat beaver.
Huh.
And in Louisiana with the
Yeah.
alligator, it's super
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
That's so cool. Can I ask something? Some things I don't know if they're Byzantine or just regular Catholic. Do y'all not eat meat on Wednesdays during Lent?
No,
No, just
It's
Friday.
just
Friday.
Just
Friday.
Friday.
It's on Ash Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday, you don't
Yeah.
eat
Oh,
meat.
so
Right.
that's a Byzantine thing then.
Yeah.
We don't eat meat Wednesdays or Fridays during Lent.
Well, I think aren't there a couple Ember days in Lent as well?
Ember days?
Do you guys?
Yeah, flesh that out for us, Ben.
Oh, okay. So Ember days is something my mother has found recently, like in the last year and a half, and they're basically like certain days throughout the Catholic calendar that you basically consider the same as Ash Wednesday, where you only eat like 2 small meals and then 1 large meal that doesn't equal the 2 small meals put together, and like that kind of like fasting, and then you don't eat meat on those days. And they're very interesting because I'm not sure what the days of them are, but there's like 10 or 15 throughout the year
Right.
that like and they're just supposed to be little days, and they're usually on like solemnities or different saints' feast days that are very important.
Right.
And like sometimes they'll be clumped like 2 or 3 days in a row. It's a very strange thing that
Cool.
used to be very prevalent, and it used to be a big thing in like Eastern traditions.
No, I'm all about like ratcheting up a little bit our amount of fasting and whatever because we get too lazy. I make all these,
Absolutely.
I make stupid exceptions and all of these like, changing the rules about this because I've got a really good reason. I don't have any.
Yeah, like
good reason.
beavers live in the water or something dumb
Right.
like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
The loopholes.
Lenten loopholes.
Lenten loopholes. Yeah, there's a bunch of those, and I feel like I've gotten fat and lazy and been doing that a lot over the years. I want to ratchet it up, but once again, by me telling you that I want to ratchet it up, I'm losing all the goodness from ratcheting it up. So, never mind. Well, that is actually an awesome segue to something that I know we want to talk about, which is fish fries.
Fish fries.
Are we doing this? We doing the fish fry thing?
Yeah.
We're gonna do
Yeah.
the fish fry
Absolutely.
contest.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna
Yeah.
do so.
Let's talk about it.
I work with City on Purpose. We did a fish fry contest last year. It went really, really well. The Knights of Columbus guys were so sweet. They like freaked out when we gave them their awards. They were super sweet, and we want to do it again. And I think that it's important to celebrate not only these parishes and their communities, but also like you're supporting your local parish and your local charities. And,
Totally.
And you don't have to cook. So I feel like it's a win-win all the way around.
So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're partnering. We're going to work together
Yes.
to do like a fish. We're going to try to hit as many fish fries as we can over the course of Lent, and then create an award. Is it like a golden fish? What is it?
Last year we did have like little golden fish, little guys. They were super cute.
1,000%.
If you're watching this on the day it comes out, then we most likely, if all goes according to plan, filmed the first of these fish fry videos the day before this episode comes out.
Oh, cool.
So we've already
nice.
filmed the first one. Should be coming out in the next few days. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll go a step further and say that if you want your council to be a part of this, right? Because we're going to try to hit as many as we can, obviously, but there's only so many of us and so many fish to
Yep.
fry. Please leave us a comment, shoot us a message,
Leave
or
us
something.
comments, send us an email. We will be super interested in partnering with you guys.
Absolutely. Tag us on Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah, and you'll get a really beautiful golden fish if you win.
If
Yep.
you win.
Do we do first, second, third, or what's the?
Yeah, usually first we did that last year for second, third. Also make sure to vote for your parish. That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Okay.
CityOnPurpose.com, right?
CityOnPurpose.com.
Yeah,
There'll
there
be
you
the
go.
ultimate fish fry guide for 2023. So
Yep.
Dude,
go
I'm
check
so
that
pumped.
out. Go support your local fish fries. Go eat a bunch of fish.
There's a huge range of fish fries.
I think that's something really interesting that I learned last year.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I had always gone to just my parish fish fry every year. It's kind of the same thing. It's not bad. It's great. I love it. But people do fish tacos. I believe Mary Our Queen had like a rotating menu last year.
Okay.
Ooh.
So you could go in. There's a like chef up in Cleveland, Georgia, so up in the mountains. He is like a local chef, and he does the fish fry at one of the parishes up there.
Mhm.
It looks delicious. So go out there, go to some different parishes, try some different stuff.
Yeah, I was more disappointed than I think I've ever been in a fish fry last year. I got so excited about it, and I went because once again talking about being fat and lazy. Like the only time I ever eat like a fish fillet sandwich from a fast food place or any of that is during Lent. I get like super excited about it. It's like I'm totally sacrificing today by spending all this money eating out
Oh, I'm
delicious.
getting the fish fillet from McDonald's.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever eat it. I love that McDonald's does that though because they really
They
do
know
the big
who they're
promos.
marketing towards.
I know,
Careful.
and it's never explicit. But
Chick-fil-A, I think,
Some
every
Chick-fil-A's.
year. Some
Some
Chick-fil-A's,
Chick-fil-A's.
like, they never have fish on the menu. But then over Lent, on Fridays, they have
Just
fish.
casually.
Just
casually.
casually.
Yeah, so
Under
does
the radar.
Arby's.
yeah, does Arby's
really?
do one?
And you do a King Hawaiian like as like the bun with like the fish in the middle.
Ooh.
So good. I don't go to McDonald's. I go to Arby's for my sandwiches.
I don't know if they still do this, but because of our mutual friend Mary Swanson.
Yeah.
Wendy's fish sandwiches
Really?
were something else. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check that out.
But Christ Redeemer up in Dawsonville, they do the fried pickles and the fried shrimp and the fried or not fried
Yeah.
People
shrimp,
do
fried
all
pickles.
sorts of
They do a
awesome
bunch.
stuff. Like,
Oh, fried pickles.
and usually too, there's a dessert table, which my mom used to always like be like, well, some people are giving up desserts for Lent. That's kind of like an oxymoron that you talk about
Right.
there, but you know, it usually like they're a bake off sale for like preschool or you know local organizations. So yeah.
I'm big on. I think there should be things like that sometimes. Like
yes, yeah.
I always hated it when like my mom would be like, I'd be like, Mom, can I have ice cream? And they're like when I was younger, and they're like, oh, well, your brother's giving up sweets. That's going to make him feel really bad.
But I'm not giving him up.
This is the sacrifice. I'm making him holy.
Sacrifice this.
Yeah, no, I think that's super interesting. One thing that we haven't talked about though with Lent, once again, I'm probably bringing this up because I'm feeling guilty about talking about my sushi dates that I have on Fridays during Lent, but is almsgiving. We talked about giving stuff up. We talked about taking stuff on. We didn't talk about almsgiving, which is a big part of these times of preparedness, right? And I don't know what you have heard of. We can open this up to some awesome charities that exist, but I really want to get into that because that's something that we struggle with in our household, and we tend to put it on the back burner. And it's not, tithing initially to God and then dealing with our household expenses and then dealing with all the things we want to do and the recreation and everything. But it tends to be, let's do all the stuff we want. Oh, can we then afford to give to this charity that we really like? So I don't know what y'all's experience has been like that. I don't know if you do stuff like that during Lent, if your family has. I'd love to talk about it. And then if you know of some wonderful charities, I'd like to talk about those. Madeline.
Okay. So one thing, whenever I first got a job way back when, and my dad helped me set up a budget, one of the main things he wanted me to do was to learn how to tithe. And so I would always do my budget at the beginning of the month, and I had a separate envelope for the tithe, and I would stick it in there. And he'd always be like, keep it and pull it out now, and save it, because one good analogy, which I think he got from somebody else, but I will right now I don't know who it was from, so I will give him credit for it.
Way to go,
but it's
Madeline's dad.
If you have a bag of apples, and they're really good apples, but you put off giving an apple to somebody else, the apple just kind of sits in there. You keep eating them, but that apple just kind of sits there and it starts rotting away and it starts getting a little bad. Right. And then by the end of the month, you're like, well, I don't want to give that apple away because it looks ugly and it's bad. So you don't give it to them because it just ends up being used for something else. Yeah. So do it at the beginning. And so that's one thing that always helped me. I don't really, I tithe, but I don't I really don't have the money right now to donate to charities and stuff. I'm more of giving my time. But that's one thing that's always helped. Which is
absolutely almsgiving, by the way.
Yeah. And especially most of the times it's just stuff through my parish where we had last Sunday we had something called the Super Bowl, but soup, SOUPER bowl, and we sold a bunch of different soups to the parish, and we paired up with the Presbyterian and the Methodist church, and people from all over the county came, and we served them up soup, and I went because they were we need volunteers. So I was like, all right, I'll show up. And that's what we're doing. Some of our fish fries are actually we're going, and as the Catholic Center, and some of us are going to volunteer and help out with stuff like that. But that with the tithing, and then also plays into almsgiving and donations and different things like that.
No, that giving of time is absolutely almsgiving.
Yeah, my priest always tells me it's time, talent, or treasure. Yeah.
3 T's.
Yeah, and I would argue oftentimes giving of your time can be more valuable, right? And I always go back to that analogy, right, in the Gospels of the woman who just puts her 2 tiny coins in there and is judged by the Pharisees or whatever who are heaping in everything. And then Christ saying no, that is a greater gift to God than however many, thousands of dollars that guy's pouring in, because she's giving, right, not from her excess, right, but it's a more meaningful gift. And our time is something that's a great equalizer, right? It doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk or Madeline, right? you still have the same amount of time in the day, in the week, in the year to give. So that's huge.
And also one thing for me, it makes me feel a lot better, not in a prideful way, but in a humility way. It's I'm able to, I have spare time, and I am able to give it up. And in the end, you just feel good because you're instead of doing something for myself, I was able to offer up my time for someone else. And it just, and it creates a cycle, and you're I'm going to do it next time, and I'm going to do it again and again. And it just becomes a part of a habit in your life and stuff. So.
Aside from giving time at parishes, is anybody aware of any other wonderful charities we might not know about?
Well, there's of course Atlanta Catholic Charity, or Catholic Charities of Atlanta. They do a lot of amazing work for children or people that are immigrating here.
Sure.
So if they have some volunteer opportunities, but also they need money. They need donations for kids that are going into schools and stuff. Like even like make sure to like check out like your local like St. Vincent de Paul, like ask what they need. A lot of parishes have some amazing organizations within them. Also your local pregnancy resource center.
That's
They
what I was about to
always
say.
need stuff.
Pregnancy aid centers.
Always need stuff. And again, they need your time, they need your talent, but they always need donations.
A couple weeks ago, my wife and I were at a pregnancy aid center. We called in a favor, actually, because my wife is pregnant and we've had complications and had some miscarriages. And we called in a favor saying, hey, can we come and get an ultrasound now, right, from you guys instead of waiting later? And they were great and they were super accommodating. And I was sitting in the waiting room and they're so used to dealing with women who are considering abortions. So everything's free and all, they've got a little shop there and everything. And I mentioned why we were there, because I came in, I think that they assumed that we were there considering an abortion and we didn't have any money, and the second part was absolutely true, we didn't have any money, and
Healthcare is expensive.
and so the woman in the lobby just like latched onto me and started talking about all these things that were going on there, and it will blow your mind, the kind of things that are happening there. It's not just free ultrasounds and baby clothes.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like, even like I was checking on Facebook the other day, our local one, like they were just talking about like how much like emotional like energy they're having to put in that, because you are talking to people that are considering an abortion and how you have to have these difficult conversations with people you've never even met.
Right.
So, and you're having these difficult conversations, and just like not only are they like saving lives, but they're like changing people's lives with
100%.
the
Yeah.
truth and honesty, and with just giving love to these people that would otherwise not experience love in that way.
Totally. So
Yeah, I did a shoot for a pregnancy aid center when I was living in Chicago. Like we went and filmed like almost a little short film. Like we had an actress there that was like acting out, and she was a volunteer. It was great. It was wonderful. But just hearing these people talk about like what they do and the good work that they do there, and it was right across the street from a Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
Like
lot of them are.
looking at each
Yeah.
other. And so like it's insane the difference in personality between, because there was also like a pro-life protest going on, like people just come and there's always protests happening outside of Planned Parenthood. And so like the differences between employees from both sides, like kind of interacting and talking to each other, like the people on the pregnancy aid center are just like these amazingly lovely people who just
and
want
they're
to
usually
pour
all
themselves out.
volunteers. I cannot recommend, if you're
They're
looking for a
incredible
place
people.
to give your
Yeah.
time or
Absolutely.
your money, by all means, check out your local pregnancy aid clinic.
They need the help.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them around
Yeah.
here. We went to the local one over in Roswell. And
Yeah.
it was amazing.
And even just like your local community. Like a big thing I know now is like free fridges and like free food pantries. Definitely, like if you're gonna do anything, do that. Like I think a big thing with like when people ask about like, well, what charities, or like do something that's super tangible, do something that people will actually like, do things from.
Well, and from a proximity standpoint, some places close.
Yeah,
right.
you know these people. You
Charity,
know,
charity in all forms. That's great. I'm not knocking charity,
Yeah.
but I think that we struggle in our comfortable Western world with telescopic charity.
Yeah.
And we're giving all this money to some far-flung part of the world or whatever, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Give those people money. Go do that mission trip, whatever. But there are people in our communities or in our families or in our own households that need us.
Yeah.
And during Lent especially is the time to ramp that up.
No, I always think of like the Mother Teresa quote. She was somebody had come to volunteer with her, and they were like, "Well, what should we do? I should stay here and I should work with you." And she goes, "No, you should go to your community.
Right.
That's where people need you. They need you where you are. Like, not everybody can come to Calcutta, and like it's not going to work. Like, you have to go home and take care of those people in your community."
It's so much easier to, when we hear Christ talking about our neighbors, to think of our neighbors as if they all live in
live over
impoverished
there.
countries.
Yes.
No, they're your neighbors,
Yeah.
like the actual neighbors
Yeah.
that you have. Like, it's just easier. It's easier to put it out of sight and out of mind, as opposed to thinking about the people around
I think
us.
one really great charities and stuff that I've looked towards as I've actually like gotten a job and am able to give
Way to go,
of
Ben.
what I have is like good Catholic schools like St. John Bosco Academy or like Wyoming Catholic College, and these places that are doing fantastic things in like forming great people. And most of them don't like take the like government handouts that and they can't because of just how they're set up and how the freedom that they want to teach and to
Authentically,
authentically. And so they need that support. And I know like Wyoming Catholic College especially, you'll get a letter from a student at Wyoming Catholic, like
That's
a
so
handwritten
cool.
letter from them with
That's
like a
cool.
picture saying, "Here's how your charity helped me
That's
to become
Yeah.
a better person."
Well,
It's
even
great.
too, like college is so expensive, and even running a college is so expensive.
Yeah.
So to be able to like knowing that you'll be able to impact somebody that would otherwise not be able to attend or not be able to go there is so important.
And usually you can specify like what you want your donation to go to. Like if you want it to go towards scholarships or if you want it to go towards like the current needs or like an outdoors program, like something that you feel passionate about. So it's not just going to an organization and
Yeah.
you don't know how they're using it.
Yeah.
Can I say a word for though? There's this. This is kind of off topic of like
Great.
this is going more the whole like far away from home because they're both good. They're
Sure.
both
Yeah,
good.
totally
Home
good,
and far
yeah.
from home. And just a charity I really like is Mustard Seed Ministries. They're set up in like Africa. That's awesome. No, but they're in Africa. They're in Nicaragua, I believe. They're in Jamaica. They're in the Dominican Republic. And what they really focus on is we have more stuff here in the United States to take care of children with disabilities, but they do not in these other countries. There's a priest, Father Garvin, I believe, is the one who founded it. And he, like, there's these countries, there's, like, kids who, like, might not be able to walk who get, like, left in trash cans and stuff. So the whole point of Mustard Seed Ministries is they have a whole bunch of homes for just these kids with disabilities. They also have one for single teenage mothers, which is awesome.
And
So
if you're not
great.
doing anything in May, from May 20th to May 27th, there's going to be a mustard seed trip down to Jamaica, serving orphans with special needs in particular. Talk about the most vulnerable of vulnerable groups, right? So if you're interested in that, you can go to www.gofishoutreach.com for more details. You can also shoot us a message, and we're going to try to have a lot of people from Honest to God attending that. So
Yeah.
check it out.
Absolutely.
All right, and with that, we've only got about 2 minutes left, guys. There were a lot of things that I wanted to get into, but it flies through. So last time I didn't get to do loaded questions, and I love me some loaded questions.
Oh yeah.
So
Best
here
part
we
of the show.
Here we go. That's mostly
They are
why we're into the
That's-
whole honest to
that's why
God
Oh, Henry,
thing.
didn't your kids want to come on the show simply because they wanted to do popsicle
Just
sticks?
for this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And I said no. But my kids' loss is your gain, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go through this right now. We'll start with we're gonna mix it up. AG, we're gonna start with you.
Okay, so what is your favorite television animal? I'm gonna say the Geico Gecko.
Okay. Cool. Why? Give us some.
He's adorable.
Okay.
He is.
Accent.
He's
I like
just-
his voice.
He's just a little, and he's British, so he's soothing. He's just a
Yeah.
sweet little guy.
All right. Cool. Nini.
I was gonna go with who scares you the most, but I can't really think. Actually, I could, but we're gonna go with what do you always do before going to school? And now, since I got my dog, it's been waking up early to take my dog out.
I like the weekly check-in we get with Nini's dog on the show.
He is He's 20 weeks. He got groomed for the first time, like a full haircut on Monday. He came home with a very happy face, and he's very cute.
So
But no, I'll take him out. I'll wake up early. I'll take him out. I'll make him breakfast, and then while I'm getting ready for school, he'll like come down, like literally like get on my lap, and then just like sit there while I'm getting ready for school and everything. I'm like, this is the best like way to get ready for the day.
Jeff, my black lab, his name is Jeff.
I love that it's a person's name.
Yeah, I really like. I thought about Dave too, but I went with Jeff. He opened the refrigerator yesterday and ate a bunch of steaks out of the refrigerator, which is really, really impressive for something without a
That's
physical
very
thing.
impressive.
Yeah,
You like go up on him and you don't even tell him to stop. You're just like, how?
my wife was not impressed. I was impressed. Yeah. All right, Madeline, you're up.
Okay. So I'm going to tweak this one a little bit, but it says, what do people sometimes say you look like? Well, I'm going to tweak it and say sound like, because like last year, some of my friends were sitting around like, okay, what Disney character like would like all of us, be the most correlated with,
Okay.
have and everyone said I would be Dory.
Oh, I totally see that.
I can. Yeah.
Okay, actually Dory or the Russell from Up.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the two. And I was like, all right.
All right,
So-
I dig it. We'll take that. JJ?
What is something that always cheers you up? And it would be my younger siblings giving me hugs without asking.
Aww.
Yeah, we just weren't super like physically emotional when we were affectionate when we were younger.
Mhm.
but the younger ones are like a little bit nicer.
That's
I
great.
got home after not seeing Juliana for a few days. She's like, JJ, I almost forgot. I need to give you a big bedtime hug and kiss.
Yes, you
Oh my
do.
God.
Absolutely.
My heart. Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
Cheered me up so
Adorable.
much.
All right, Ben. What you got?
Okay. If you had to smell like one thing for the rest of your life,
We should have done
what
me
would
last.
it
We
be?
should have done me last.
Never mind, Ben. Thank you for listening.
That is a tough one.
What was the question? If you had to smell
If
like
you had
one
to
thing?
smell like one thing,
Brand new tires. That's what I want you to smell like. Not me.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd say like my brother got me a candle recently. It's leather and embers.
Ooh.
It's a nice smell.
Yeah.
Or like balm. Balm smells great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the pickle candle that somebody made for Mary?
I do, and then he made me one too.
You have a pickle
I have
candle?
my
Have
own
you burned it?
personal pickle candle. I've not burned it. I'm scared. Honestly,
It smells exactly like pickles.
it
though.
does. It
It's
smells
weird. He made
exactly like
it. He made it
pickles.
with like pickle extract.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know how he does it.
All right,
Yeah.
and mine is also pretty deep, like JJ's. If you were in a dark jungle, what would scare you the most? No, the answer, regardless of dark jungle, and I should give you some answer about like the devil or like the human condition or my fallen nature. No, it's cockroaches. It's 100% cockroaches. I don't mind
So
mice. I don't
much.
mind snakes. I don't like bats. Don't bother me. Nope, cockroaches. I think are gross. They're
do it.
disgusting. I would rather be in the jungle with tigers than cockroaches every day of the week. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And with the deep thought like that, we're going to end today's episode because we're out of time. Yeah, AG did hers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would have show notes Benny do one, but he may or may not exist, so we're not sure.
I'm not even gonna try to pass him one. It may fall to the
No,
ground.
exactly. Yeah, none of us are 100% on that. But thank you guys for all being here. This was a blast as always. Producer Ben, you're the man. Happy
Thank
to be
you,
here with you.
Jonathan.
You're listening to AM 1160 The Quest, Atlanta's Catholic Radio. This is Honest to God. Producer Ben,
Signing off.
over and out.